What's the Browns' plan now that Myles Garrett is, by the way, the second highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL and state of Ohio, which we'll get to in a second? What is the Browns' plan right now at quarterback, Albert?
I think their plan is to continue to look at all the veteran options. I think Kirk Cousins is on their radar.
Okay.
Russell Wilson was in there at the end of last week. The Cousins thing is interesting because he wants out. And at first I really looked at this 2 months ago and said they got to get Kirk Cousins out of there. It's what's best for their young quarterback. I'm starting to wonder if they maybe wind up a big winner here because someone's going to come out of all of this, and maybe multiple teams are going to come out of this with a big question to answer at quarterback, right? Whenever Aaron Rodgers makes his decision. And if that happens, then all of a sudden, I think the Vikings probably have the best option out there for anyone, right? And so, yeah, he'd cost $27.5 million for someone next year. Could you work out an agreement with the Falcons where maybe the Falcons pay $10 million of that 27.5, and they essentially buy a draft pick back from you for Kirk Cousins? I think something like that could be in play.
Even for Minnesota? Even for Minnesota, you think Cousins could wind back up in Minnesota after all this?
I don't think so. I don't think so, but Cleveland makes sense to me.
Okay.
I look at Cleveland. Cleveland makes sense to me. Kevin Stefanski coached Kirk Cousins and didn't just directly coached him. He was his quarterback's coach for a year and his offensive coordinator for a year. Over that 2-year span in Minnesota. So he has a good idea of what he'd be working with. I think for Stefanski, it would make a ton of sense to bring in a guy where you wouldn't have to force it if you're not in love with what's available to you at quarterback at 2. And I think at least for the guys in the team, guys like Myles Garrett, you at least have a quarterback that you can go out there and win with at that point. I think bringing back Joe Flacco for them I think it would just introduce all kinds of different things, and I wonder if that would be feasible based on the way that based on the way the last couple of years have played out. And then Russell, to me at least, I think Cousins would be a more attractive solution for them than Russell Wilson. But again, that's another one of those. Atlanta has to be willing, and if Atlanta feels like they've got you in a tough spot, they could hold a gun to your head and try to get more.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.